Hello everyone, thank you for being with me today for this release of information like you've never seen released here at the Sheriff's Office before. We've checked back into our history and we can't find where this type of charge on this type of incident has ever been made. But before we talk about the charge, let me go back in time and tell you about Mrs. Bruno here. She's 47 years of age. In December, she had a crash on Interstate 4 where she ran off of the road and she sideswiped the victim's truck. The victim and another vehicle had been involved in a minor crash and was off on the side of the road. The victim was standing beside the door when Mrs. Bruno, because she was so drunk, could not keep her car on the road. She sideswiped the truck, hitting our victim and killing him. She was arrested. She was charged, among other things, with DUI manslaughter, which is a felony of the second degree. She had a breathalyzer of .20. Our traffic homicide team, which is simply the best, the very best, began their background investigation. And the goal is to go back and say, what was Mrs. Bruno doing from the second of the crash back? And here's what our detectives, traffic detectives, determined. She, by the way, worked at a school as administrative support. I believe she was a secretary. Had arrived at Brulin's bar about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on this particular day, and she had began to drink. And she met a friend there, and the friend had also drank there as well. And then from there we determined she and her friend went over to Lucky's, where she continued to drink. So she started drinking, that we know of, at about 4 p.m., and she left Lucky's bar at about 7:40 p.m. So you can see, for an extended period of time, 3.5 hours, she was partaking of alcoholic beverages. We have some video clips for you to see of her in those two establishments. She was blasted when she left Lucky's bar. She was drunk, D-R-U-N-K, capital drunk. She was smashed. So she went over to the Wawa gas station and she went inside to order a sandwich. Well, the people at Wawa were so concerned when she set her keys down, they tried to grab them from her, but she was able to get them first. They delayed building her sandwich and they called the Lakeland Police Department. In the meantime, she went to the bathroom and apparently threw up all over herself and dropped her keys, and she came back out. The Lakeland police arrived and determined exactly what I've said to you. She was ripped. So they said, well, can I call a friend? We got to get you home. The Lakeland police didn't see her in actual physical control. The keys were on the bathroom floor. They had later been picked up, by the way, of another customer and taken back to the Wawa clerk. So congratulations to the Wawa clerk for notifying the Lakeland Police Department. The police department said, hey, you cannot drive. And she said, well, let me call a friend. She called Michelle English, who's 45. Michelle English was the person that was at the bars with her earlier today. When Michelle arrived, from every indication, she was not intoxicated. So she was sober. The police officers who were there said, look, we'll let you take Miss Bruno home, but you've got to take her directly home and make sure she does not operate a motor vehicle. She is in no condition to drive. Michelle English said, okay, no problem. They left Bruno's car at the Wawa. They said, yeah, you can leave your car here. And the Wawa people actually kept the keys so that Mrs. Bruno wouldn't have them and they wouldn't be in possession of Michelle English. The police left after they saw Michelle leave the premises with Lucretia Bruno. As soon as the police left, Michelle came back. She came back, went into the Wawa station, got the keys from the clerk, came outside, gave the keys to Mrs. Bruno, and watched Mrs. Bruno drive off. 7 miles and 9 minutes later, Mrs. Bruno ran over and killed our victim on Interstate 4. Our detectives obtained an arrest warrant for culpable negligence manslaughter, and yesterday we arrested Michelle English. She lives in Hillsborough County, and we booked her into the Hillsborough County Jail. She directly contributed to the death of our victim by allowing Mrs. Bruno to have those keys and to drive away from the Wawa station, despite the fact she was intoxicated, she was smashed, she was ripped, she was drunk, she was everything you could think of. So, now she's facing a second-degree murder charge, just like Lucretia is facing a second-degree murder charge. Heck, who knows? Maybe they can both plead guilty and go to the same prison and have some conversations like, that was really stupid of me to give you those keys. Well, you knew I was drunk. You should have never done it. Maybe they can go to state prison together. But our goal is to see that Michelle English goes to state prison. Our goal is to see Lucretia Bruno go to state prison. But you know what? No matter how long they go to state prison for to pay for their horrific, outrageous conduct, none of it will bring our victim back. Our victim was just doing the right thing. He was involved in a minor crash. He was working with the other person who was involved in the crash. And because of Michelle English's crazy, uncontrolled decision, our victim's dead today. Are there any questions?
Are you all releasing the identity of the victim?
No, we're not, absent the permission of the family, and they've not given us permission because he is the victim of a criminal act and that his identity is protected by Marcy's law. If the family gives us permission, we'll be more than happy to release it. But at the end of the day, we can't ever remember when we've brought this charge for this set of circumstances, and they've reviewed this all the way back into the 50s, as I was told yesterday. So in 70 years, Michelle English gets the trophy of the criminal charge that's never been brought under this set of circumstances before.
Did she at all indicate why she thought it was an okay decision to get the keys to the phone?
The only information she gave to us was lies. And, oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And our detective showed her the video where she helped her drunk friend in the bars and stuff because she was so drunk she's staggering around. So she was with her and watched her get progressively drunk as the evening went on. And when she was called to pick her up, she knew how much she'd been drinking. She was with her. So there you go.
Was there a 911 call made from the scene of the accident, the side swipe of the truck, or anything that you're going to release?
We're going to have the information that we can release and give it to you in a few minutes. I don't know if we have the 911 tape. And if we're not releasing it, I think there's part of it that we can release, but Scott will have to call that.
Sheriff, of course, in horrific incidents like this, what's the message to the general public when you're out enjoying yourself and and you're around friends who enjoy themselves maybe a little bit too much. What's the general message?
Yes, sir. My basic message to people is that if you want to partake of alcoholic beverages, Uber's cheap. A taxi cab's free or cheap. If you can't find a ride or help anyplace else, call us before you get in your car. We'll find you a ride home. We don't want you to hurt yourself. We don't want you to hurt someone else. Now, if you get behind that wheel and we turn the lights on, the deal's off. But even that, going to jail is much better than being on a metal tray over here at the morgue next door. So at the end of the day, you've got to be responsible. I applaud the people at Wawa. They went above and beyond their duty and responsibility to try to stop that lady from driving that motor vehicle. That's responsible community. That's responsible business community. And I commend her for that. But, Michelle English here went back and got the keys. So did she say, my drunk friends in the car, I'm give her the keys? Wawa wouldn't have given them back to her. She had some cock and bull story about I got somebody to drive her car home or some kind of nonsense, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, she was just not intoxicated. She was rip-roaring drunk. She was a .207 on the breathalyzer that night, hours later, after the crash. Thank you all very much. Have a great evening.